It was a quiet afternoon in the office when I received Mrs. Johnson, a 68-year-old lady who arrived visibly embarrassed for our consultation. After a few minutes of welcoming conversation, she finally managed to express her concern. She felt guilty for maintaining an active, intimate life, including the practice of self-exploration. As a urologist and andrologist for 15 years, I realized that this moment would be crucial not only for a patient, but to initiate a much larger discussion about a topic often neglected in our society. "Doctor, is it normal at my age?" Her question echoed through the room, laden with decades of taboos and misinformation. It was at that moment that I realized the urgent need to openly address the issue of intimacy in the elderly, especially the fundamental role of self-exploration in the process of healthy aging. Throughout my career, especially after my specialization in sexual medicine at a renowned international institution, I have observed an interesting pattern. People who maintain a healthy relationship with their intimacy often show better general health indicators. However, this information rarely reaches the public adequately, especially the elderly population. Aging is a natural process that brings with it various physical and emotional transformations. However, there is a common misconception in our society: the idea that, as we age, we should distance ourselves from our sexuality. This conception could not be further from the scientific reality we know today. In my clinical practice, I have increasingly encountered patients over 60 who, like Mrs. Johnson, seek to better understand their body and sexuality. These are people who often carry silent doubts for years, with no one to share their concerns with. The most interesting thing is that when we start to approach the subject naturally and with a scientific basis, we realize that there is a genuine interest in better understanding this very important dimension of health. The most recent research in the field of geriatrics and sexuality has shown something surprising. Regular self-exploration is associated with several health benefits, including better blood circulation, stress reduction, strengthening of the pelvic floor, and even improved sleep. For women specifically, it can help prevent vaginal dryness and strengthen pelvic muscles. For men, it contributes to maintaining prostate health and erectile function. However, it is crucial to emphasize that these benefits are intrinsically linked to a healthy and natural practice, free from harmful external elements such as excessive consumption of online adult content. Dependence on this type of material can have significant negative effects on both physical and mental health, diminishing the ability to feel pleasure naturally and creating unrealistic expectations about the body and intimacy. During my specialization, I had the opportunity to participate in several studies that proved how an integrative approach to intimate health can significantly contribute to overall well-being in old age. It's not just a matter of pleasure, but a set of practices that promote physical and mental health. For Mrs. Johnson, as well as for many other patients I see, the first step was to understand that there was no reason for shame or guilt. Self-exploration is a natural and healthy part of human development that should not be interrupted just because we reach a certain age. On the contrary, its maintenance can be one of the keys to healthier and more satisfying aging. As our population ages, it becomes increasingly important to address these issues with clarity and scientific basis. The United States is undergoing a significant demographic transformation, with a growing number of people entering old age. It is our responsibility, as health professionals, to ensure that these people have access to correct information and appropriate guidance on all aspects of their health, including intimacy. In my journey as a specialist in intimate health, one of the most significant barriers I encounter is the set of myths and misinformation surrounding the topic of sexuality in old age. During my lectures at senior centers and consultations in the office, I often come across misconceptions that need to be carefully deconstructed. One of the most prevalent myths is the idea that self-exploration in old age can be harmful to health. This belief has no scientific foundation. In fact, studies conducted at important research centers demonstrate just the opposite. When practiced properly, self-exploration can bring significant health benefits. I particularly remember a case I attended. Mr. Thompson, 72 years old, who, came to the office worried after reading on the internet that the practice of self-exploration could harm his heart health. After a complete evaluation and a frank conversation, we were able to clarify that, in fact, moderate sexual activity, including self-exploration, can contribute to cardiovascular health, stimulating circulation and releasing natural endorphins. Another common myth is the belief that sexual desire naturally disappears with age. This is a misconception that has caused a lot of unnecessary suffering. The reality is that sexuality transforms throughout life, but does not cease to exist. What we observe is a change in the way it manifests, often becoming more focused on intimacy and self-knowledge. During my international specialization, I had access to revolutionary research that demonstrated how regular self-exploration can help prevent various common health problems in old age. For example, for men, it is associated with a significant reduction in prostate problems and maintenance of erectile function. For women, it contributes to pelvic floor health and maintenance of natural lubrication. However, it is crucial to address an aspect that often causes confusion: the difference between natural and healthy self-exploration and dependence on artificial external stimuli. Excessive consumption of online adult content can have significant negative effects, creating unrealistic expectations and diminishing the body's natural ability to feel pleasure. It's like comparing a nutritious and balanced meal with fast food. Both can satisfy hunger, but only one truly contributes to health. In my consultations, I always emphasize the importance of reconnecting with one's own body in a natural and respectful way. This may include mindfulness techniques and breathing exercises that help develop greater body awareness. These practices not only improve the experience of self-exploration, but also contribute to overall well-being. A particularly interesting aspect that I observe in my clinical practice is how self-exploration can assist in the early identification of health changes. Patients who maintain a healthy relationship with their body tend to notice subtle changes more quickly, allowing for earlier medical interventions when necessary. It is essential to highlight that each person has their own time and way of experiencing their sexuality. There is no single standard to be followed. The important thing is that each individual finds their comfortable and healthy way of maintaining this connection with their body, always respecting their limits and preferences. During my lectures, I often use the metaphor of an orchestra. Just as each instrument contributes to the harmony of the whole, each aspect of our health, including intimacy, has its role in the overall balance of the organism. Ignoring any of these aspects would be like trying to play a symphony with missing instruments. Modern science has increasingly clearly demonstrated how our physical and mental health are interconnected, and how healthy self-exploration practices can positively contribute to both. Recent studies show that people who maintain a healthy relationship with their sexuality in old age have lower rates of anxiety and depression, as well as better overall quality of life. As a specialist in intimate health, I have the privilege of closely following the most recent scientific discoveries about the benefits of self-exploration in old age. During my international specialization, I participated in several studies that revealed surprising data on how this practice can positively influence our health in multiple ways. One of the most fascinating aspects is the relationship between regular self-exploration and the production of beneficial hormones for the body. During the practice, the body releases endorphins, known as feel-good hormones, and oxytocin, the love hormone. These natural compounds have impressive positive effects on the body, from strengthening the immune system to improving mood and reducing stress. In my clinical practice, I followed the case of Mrs. Anderson, 73 years old, who suffered from chronic anxiety and insomnia. After implementing a comprehensive health program that included regular self-exploration practices, we observed a significant improvement in her sleep patterns and anxiety levels. Laboratory tests confirmed a reduction in cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and improvement in various inflammatory markers. For men, the benefits are equally significant. Studies conducted at renowned research centers demonstrate that regular self-exploration is associated with up to a 30% reduction in the risk of prostate problems. The explanation lies in the improvement of blood circulation in the pelvic region and the natural exercise of the tissues and muscles in this area. A particularly interesting aspect is the impact on the cardiovascular system. During self-exploration, the heart rate increases moderately, similar to a light walk, providing a safe and natural cardiovascular exercise. This benefit is especially relevant for people who have limitations in performing more intense physical activities. For women in old age, the benefits are equally impressive. Regular self-exploration contributes to maintaining the elasticity of vaginal tissues, stimulates natural lubrication production, and strengthens the pelvic floor muscles. Mrs. Davis, a 65-year-old patient, showed significant improvement in urinary incontinence symptoms after incorporating pelvic floor exercises and self-exploration practices into her routine. Neuroscience has also brought fascinating discoveries on the subject. Neuroimaging exams show that self-exploration activates various brain areas, stimulating neural plasticity and contributing to the maintenance of cognitive health. It's like a workout for the brain, which helps keep neural connections active and healthy. A fundamental aspect that I always highlight in my lectures is the importance of regularity. Like any other aspect of health, the benefits of self-exploration are cumulative and depend on constant and conscious practice. It's not just about quantity, but the quality and awareness with which the practice is carried out. During my residency, at a reference hospital, I participated in a study that followed 200 elderly people for 2 years. The group that maintained regular self-exploration practices showed significantly better quality of life indices, lower incidence of depression, and better cognitive function compared to the control group. It's important to emphasize that these benefits are directly related to a natural and healthy practice. The use of online adult content can have negative effects, creating a cycle of dependence that diminishes the body's natural sensitivity and can lead to mental health problems. The key lies in conscious self-exploration and real connection with one's own body. Modern medicine has increasingly recognized the importance of a holistic approach to health, where body and mind are seen as an integrated unit. Self-exploration fits perfectly into this perspective, providing both physical and psychological benefits. In my consultations, I always emphasize that each person should find their own rhythm and form of practice. There is no one-size-fits-all recipe that works for everyone. The important thing is to maintain a respectful and conscious approach, always attentive to the signals our body sends us. In my experience as a specialist in intimate health, I've learned that it's not enough to just talk about the benefits of self-exploration. It's essential to provide practical and safe guidance for its realization. In this chapter, I'll share some of the most effective techniques and practices that I've been recommending to my patients over the past 15 years. The first fundamental aspect is creating an appropriate environment. I always recommend a private, comfortable space with a pleasant temperature. Soft lighting and relaxing music can help create an atmosphere conducive to relaxation and self-exploration. Mrs. Wilson, a 67-year-old patient, reported a significant change in her experience after implementing these simple environmental suggestions. A technique that has proven particularly effective is the practice of mindfulness applied to self-exploration. I start by guiding my patients to do simple, conscious breathing exercises, which help establish a deeper connection with their own body. This approach has shown remarkable results, especially for people facing anxiety or concentration difficulties. To promote healthy blood circulation, I developed, along with specialized physiotherapists, a series of gentle exercises that can be performed before the practice of self-exploration. These movements help prepare the body and increase natural sensitivity without the need for artificial external stimuli. A crucial aspect that I always emphasize is the importance of proper hydration. I developed a specific natural recipe to improve blood circulation, which includes easily found ingredients: coconut water, ginger, cinnamon, and a little honey. This drink, when consumed regularly, can help improve blood flow and overall vitality. For women, especially, strengthening the pelvic floor is fundamental. I teach a series of specific exercises, known as Kegel exercises, which can be easily incorporated into the daily routine. Mrs. Baker, 70 years old, after 3 months of regularly practicing these exercises, reported significant improvement in sensitivity and urinary control. For men, I developed a specific protocol that combines breathing exercises with gentle movements that promote blood circulation in the pelvic region. Mr. Harrison, 75 years old, followed this protocol for 6 months and observed a considerable improvement in his overall intimate health. An interesting discovery I made during my international specialization was the effectiveness of creative visualization techniques. I guide my patients to practice guided imagination exercises, which help reconnect with pleasurable sensations naturally and healthily, without relying on harmful external stimuli. The issue of regularity is fundamental, but it should be adapted to individual needs. Some patients benefit from daily practice, while others prefer longer intervals. The important thing is to establish a comfortable and sustainable long-term routine. I also developed a set of guidelines on hygiene and specific care that should be taken before and after the practice. These guidelines are particularly important to prevent any type of infection or discomfort, especially considering the natural changes that occur in the body with aging. A tool that has proven very useful is the wellness diary. I guide my patients to make simple notes about their physical and emotional state, which helps identify patterns and make necessary adjustments in practice. Mrs. Collins, 69 years old, using this method, was able to identify the times of day when she felt most willing and adjusted her routine accordingly. It's important to emphasize that all these practices should be carried out respecting individual limits. Some people may need specific adaptations due to pre-existing health conditions. That's why I always recommend a medical evaluation before starting any new routine. In my journey as a doctor specializing in intimate health, I've learned that the emotional aspect of self-exploration is as important as the physical one. During consultations in my office, I often observe how emotional and psychological issues are intrinsically linked to intimate health, especially in old age. One of the most striking stories I witnessed was that of Mrs. Peterson, 71 years old, who came to the office facing a period of deep sadness after becoming a widow. Through a comprehensive approach that included conscious self-exploration, she gradually rediscovered her autonomy and joy of living. "Doctor, I learned that taking care of my body is a form of self-love," she told me in a follow-up consultation. The aging process often brings significant changes in our self-image and self-esteem. Many patients report feeling invisible or less attractive as they age. Self-exploration, when practiced consciously and respectfully, can be a powerful tool for reconnecting with one's own body and accepting the natural changes that time brings. During my international specialization, I came into contact with fascinating research on the relationship between self-exploration and the production of neurotransmitters related to emotional well-being. Regular practice stimulates the production of serotonin and dopamine, natural substances that contribute to mood balance and the feeling of well-being. A fundamental aspect that I always address with my patients is the importance of developing a healthy relationship with one's own body. Free from judgments and comparisons, Ms. Mitchell, 68 years old, shared how self-exploration practices helped her overcome years of insecurity and shame. "I learned to accept and love myself as I am, with all the marks that life has left on me." The issue of emotional intimacy also deserves special attention. Many elderly people face loneliness or physical distance from their partners. Self-exploration can be a healthy way to maintain a connection with one's own sexuality and emotional well-being, regardless of relationship status. In my lectures, I always emphasize that self-exploration goes far beyond the physical aspect. It's a journey of self-discovery and self-care. This perspective has helped many patients overcome guilt or shame associated with the topic, allowing them to explore their feelings and sensations more freely and healthily. A tool that has proven particularly useful is the emotional diary, where patients can record not only their self-exploration practices, but also their feelings and perceptions. Mr. Rogers, 77 years old, reported how this practice helped him identify emotional patterns and improve his relationship with himself. The connection between mind and body becomes even more evident when we observe how emotional state influences the experience of self-exploration. That's why I developed a protocol that integrates relaxation and mindfulness techniques, helping patients create a mental state conducive to a more satisfying and beneficial experience. An important aspect that I always highlight is that there is no correct standard of feeling or experiencing self-exploration. Each person has their own emotional journey, and it's fundamental to respect this individual process. Mrs. Foster, 73 years old, shared how this understanding freed her from years of self-pressure and unrealistic expectations. During the support groups I coordinate, I have observed how sharing experiences in a safe and welcoming environment can be transformative. Many participants report feeling less alone in their doubts and concerns when they realize that others share similar experiences. The issue of self-esteem in old age is particularly delicate in our society, which often devalues aging. Self-exploration can be a powerful tool for reconnecting with one's own value and inner beauty. As I often say to my patients, each wrinkle and mark on our body tells a life story that deserves to be celebrated. Throughout this journey of discoveries and learnings about self-exploration in old age, we have reached a point of transformation. As a specialist doctor who has dedicated 15 years to the study and practice of intimate health, I have witnessed significant changes in the way we approach this important topic, which is still surrounded by taboos. I vividly remember the first day Mrs. Johnson entered my office, a few months ago, carrying her doubts and fears. Today, she represents one of the many success stories that I have the privilege of following. Doctor, I never imagined that at 68 I could feel so good about myself, she shared in our last consultation, with a radiant smile that reflected her inner transformation. The future of geriatric medicine is intrinsically linked to a more holistic understanding of healthy aging. The most recent research continues to reveal surprising connections between self-exploration and various aspects of health. At the last international conference I attended, promising studies were presented on how this practice can contribute to the preservation of cognitive function and emotional balance. One of the most significant discoveries in my clinical practice has been observing how self-exploration can act as an empowerment tool in old age. Patients who incorporate this practice into their routine often report a renewed sense of autonomy and control over their health. Mrs. Thompson, 75 years old, summed up this feeling well. I learned that it's never too late to reconnect with yourself. Technology has also proven to be an important ally in this journey. In partnership with other professionals, I developed applications and digital resources that assist in monitoring intimate health, always focusing on user privacy and security. These tools have helped many patients maintain a more consistent self-care routine. A fundamental aspect that I always emphasize is the importance of a support network. The discussion groups I coordinate have transformed into true communities of learning and mutual support. Seeing elderly people sharing experiences and supporting each other in their journey of self-discovery is truly inspiring. The role of family also deserves special attention. When family members understand and support the importance of self-exploration, for integral health, the process becomes much more natural and successful. I have been actively working on educating family members, demystifying concepts, and promoting a more open and healthy dialogue on the topic. One of the most significant transformations I observe is the change in patients' self-perception. Many come to the office feeling too old to worry about their intimate health, but soon discover that this is a vital part of their overall well-being. As I often say, age is just a number. What matters is how we feel and how we take care of ourselves. The prospects for the future are extremely promising. Increasingly, the medical community recognizes the importance of self-exploration as an integral part of health in old age. New studies are being developed, new techniques are being discovered, and more people are benefiting from this knowledge. In my most recent lectures, I have emphasized how self-exploration can be a powerful tool for disease prevention and health promotion. It's not just about treating existing problems, but keeping the body and mind in harmony, preventing a series of common conditions in old age. The future of geriatric medicine will certainly include a more integrated and holistic approach to intimate health. As health professionals, we have the responsibility to continue breaking taboos and providing information based on scientific evidence, always with empathy and respect. To conclude, I would like to share a reflection that I always make with my patients. Self-exploration in old age is not just a health practice. It's a celebration of life, an affirmation of our continued vitality, and a commitment to our integral well-being. As the saying goes, it's not about adding years to life, but life to years.